Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very live show today. And it's more live than last week because both our mics and our cameras, knock on wood, are working. How's it going, Paul?
Pretty good. That's true.
It is true. Today's show, folks, is brought to you by Smartdeploy. They specialize in computer imaging, so your IT team doesn't have to. Check them out at smartdeploy.com/throt for a free offer for 1 year of support and lifetime licenses and all that good stuff. It's Friday. I can tell.
I mean, we might have to gift them something after that one.
Yeah, that's Smartdeploy.
I told you this story already, but this might be amusing to people. My son has a part-time job at FedEx now, and he lost his car keys at FedEx. He believes it's in a truck that was heading to Syracuse. So he texted us last night to see if we could send him his spare key. So I went out this morning to FedEx and I FedExed it to him because, why not? And by the way, you would think that would be free because he works at FedEx. But it wasn't free. It was $75.
Yeah. I've heard that being a delivery person, like the guys that drive the trucks, like that's like a really good living. Like those people do pretty well. Like it's a respectable career and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I have a friend who works at UPS.
I've also heard that it's very hard to get that job, mostly because everybody wants to do it. It's you drive around in a truck, you get to play Santa Claus all day.
You are uniquely welcomed into people's homes, no matter where you go.
I always joke that, if I'm going to rob something, I'm going to steal a FedEx truck because it's the closest thing to Santa's bag because you don't know what it is. There's going to be a lot.
It's just like an Apple store, but it's boxed up.
Yeah, and it's moving.
Yeah, or it's like 90% Amazon boxes.
Yeah, no, it's coming to my house, which there are 2 Amazon packages coming to my house today, actually.
Yeah.
Amazon ruling the world, 1 UPS truck at a time. Anyways, Paul, we haven't talked about this. I actually didn't read your post because I don't like you anymore. But the precision mouse, how is that working out?
I actually really like this mouse a lot. I wish it was a little less expensive. It's $99, which is just sort of unsustainable to me, but it's actually a really good mouse. Bluetooth LE works with up to 3 computers, which is kind of interesting. Totally configurable unless you have Windows 10s. And it's reasonably ergonomic, which is a first for a Surface branded mouse. And even though like a lot of the Microsoft modern mice are made of this kind of cheap feeling plastic. Yeah, this must be the same material. It must be, but there's something about it. It actually feels really nice. Like it's got the surface of it, if you will, the top of it, just feels nice when you kind of put your hand on it. It's a really nice mouse.
You're a really nice mouse.
Yeah,
I don't even know what that
means. It's gray,
means,
just like my hair. It's the same color. See?
It just felt right. It just.
It doesn't have to make sense.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I mean, I don't have one, but I played with it at that reviewers workshop.
Yeah.
But again, and I think everybody pointed this out in the comments. The problem is that it's the same price as the MX Master Pro, which is almost identical in design, but it has more buttons. I actually have one right here, and it was $99, and I would highly recommend the MX Master Pro to anybody. It's a wonderful mouse. At the same price.
If it's funny, there's a little hole in the front that's like a micro USB port, so that's how you charge this thing. The battery is not removable; it's in there somewhere. If this was an Apple device, like the way you would charge it is you like plug it in on the bottom like this, but it's not. It's a Microsoft device, so actually that makes tons of sense. It's just and if you want better performance, although I find it to be great wirelessly, you can plug it in and use it over the wire. You can use it as a USB mouse.
Yeah, actually, just when you pointed out the non-removable battery, I went and grabbed mine, which is right here. This one does not have a removable battery either, so it's not besting it on that. But the one thing that this mouse has that one does not is, and it's going to be hard to see here, is that there is a scroll wheel right here on your thumb.
Yeah, on the side.
Which you're like, I don't really need that until you use it, and then you're like, yeah, it's very handy to have. And the other thing is too, with Logitech, you can reprogram any of these buttons, much like I'm sure you can with those. But
Yeah,
you can do that scroll wheel to do volume. You can do it left and right. You can do front and back, whatever. You're kind of good.
Yep. Yeah. No, this is a good one. I mean, I feel like Microsoft has gone off the deep end with ergonomics on a lot of their peripherals, but this one, I think it's right there. It's good.
Do you like it better than your baseball mouse?
No.
Ooh.
No, but there are still advantages to it, right? It works with multiple devices, which is key. The rechargeable battery thing, which is kind of awesome, because I've done this thing where I'm on the road and the battery dies and I don't have a battery, and it's whatever, and that's kind of nice. It looks like the Surface. I don't know.
It does. It does match.
It does match.
It's got
something to be said for color coordination.
Yeah, but no burgundy.
Yeah, right.
And no gold to match your gold laptop.
See, that's what they should have done, is made the top removable and had different colors.
Mm. Well, there's always Gen 2.
Yep.
Speaking of Gen 2 and removable colors here, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
how's your $1,000 phone working out for you? That is,
you're really taken with the brokenness of my phone, which, by the way, works fine. I personally really like it. It's fine. They being Google issued an update this month for this device. I just got it last night, but I guess it just rolls out on whatever schedule. Much like Microsoft updates. Mm-hmm. But what it's supposed to address, well, is two things. One is that screen burn-in issue, which I have not experienced, although I can understand how it might happen. And the other one is the kind of dullness of the display, which a lot of people have complained about. Actually, Google specifically programmed this display to be what they call natural. I would call it color accurate. And I have no problems with it whatsoever. I think it's fine. But they've added a setting into settings that basically gives you three choices for the vibrancy of the screen. So I don't remember the names, but it's like natural, saturated and more saturated, whatever they're called. But there's some goofy stuff going on there along the terribleness of the UI, but it gives you that ability. If you had an Nexus 6P or the 5X you have, I think is like this, or a original Gen Pixel, it kind of makes the screen punchy and HDR like those devices were. And I like it, so it's fine. I mean, I didn't have a problem with the default value. And I switched between that and the new saturated mode, and it's subtle, but it's more colorful, so it's fine.
Is it? Yeah. How's it? Have you tried it in the sunlight? Because that's kind of where the issue was relying before.
Yeah, no, I haven't. Although since that day, that first day that I did that, I took 4 phones outside for the review and kind of tested them side by side, and it is absolutely more washed out than like the iPhone screen was or than the original Pixel screen was. But it's not unseeable, but it's one of those things like, most people don't have 2 phones. They're not like, going like this. So the phone is whatever it is, and you kind of do whatever you do to see it. You know what I mean? And it was noticeable mostly because I was next to another screen that was easily viewable in the sunlight. And so to answer your actual question, no, I have not brought it outside into the sun yet, but I should do that actually.
I have a suggestion, Paul.
Okay.
I think in about 2.5 weeks, we're going somewhere with a lot of sunshine.
Yes. Yes. Although, for whatever it's worth, I've driven around with this thing in the car, used it for like Google Maps and stuff, and it's been in the direct sunlight. It's fine. It works fine.
Well, I'll final
let you
judge
look at it, and you can issue your own little mini review of my phone's screen when you see it. How does that sound?
It will not be as colorful as the drink in my hand. That is probably...
Yes. Although the picture I take of that drink with this camera will be incredibly colorful.
That is true. It does have a good camera. I will not...
Yeah, it really does.
To be honest, I've actually had a lot of trouble with my iPhone 7 camera. I don't know what the deal is, but things are coming out, and maybe this is the planned obsolescence, but very soft, like very soft around the edges lately. And I don't know if it's the latest update, but something, quote unquote, something has happened. And my images are, my wife even knows, she's like, that's not very good.
Okay, so you're going to think I'm messing with you, but I mean this seriously, clean it. I know that sounds goofy and obvious.
Yeah.
But I spent a day taking photos sometime in the past year, and I was kind of surprised. Like the pictures looked hazy, and I'm like, what's going on? And literally all I had to do was clean the outside of the camera lens cover or whatever, and that improved it dramatically. Like that's literally all it was.
Gotcha. No, that very well could be it. I'll actually be curious to see if that does it. Other things that have happened this week, not as notable, but there's finally something coming to Windows 10 that I've been waiting for, I don't know, since they announced Windows 10. A new build of Redstone 4 came out 17040. And Paul, this is finally bringing shape writing to the on-screen keyboard.
Yeah, I don't ever use that or care about it, but I understand why that's a big deal. And I sort of get the feeling with Windows 10 that we're arriving at what is almost a comedy skit where if you have any pet peeve or pet feature that you need in Windows, you're going to get it eventually because they update this thing like every 6 months. So chances are you could, it's like, I'd like to have an antenna sticking out of the back. It's like, all right, that's coming in 1803. You got it. It's just, it kind of feels that way. It's like a band going on a greatest hits tour and taking requests,
Yeah. And this might just be over analyzing the tea leaves at this point, but the Joe Finn pointed out in the comments, he's like, man, they are really working hard to make this device work well without a keyboard, potentially hinting at maybe a future device.
Yeah. Why would they be doing that now?
Sorry to all those salty dogs that bought Windows Mobile. We're getting serious about it this time. We promise.
Right. Windows 10 Mobile 2. No, wait. I'm sure there's a better name.
Gosh. I forget that I'm using multi-computers because I still can't get this one to connect to Miracast. I maybe want the 1709 is on it.
The new one, you mean?
What?
The new one doesn't connect to Miracast?
No.
That's amazing.
So the old one does just fine. I don't know. I'm waiting for 1709 to be installed, and then before I start raging on this thing about why it doesn't work when the old one does. But speaking of doesn't work, Paul, if you work in IT and it's taken you longer than 15 minutes to set up a new computer, I can promise you that there is absolutely a better way, and it's a lot faster than the competition. We got Smartdeploy here. Check them out at smartdeploy.com/Thurrott to check out why their product is a lot faster than the competition. Actually, 47% faster than Semantic Ghost, and that has been described as MDT for dummies. Seriously, if it's taking you longer than 15 minutes, you can get a lot of time of your day back by just give them a checkout. You know what? Go see what they're doing because they're going to make your life a little bit better when it comes to doing what a lot of people consider to be the worst task. And so I wouldn't tell your coworkers once you get this stuff up and running about how much time you're saving. That way maybe you can play a little Call of Duty, Paul, in the office while these things are just running and doing all their good stuff by themselves. But that's Smartdeploy, guys. They make deployment a heck of a lot easier. They make it a lot faster, and they're going to let you try it out for free because they are that confident in their product. Go check them out at smartdeploy.com/Thurrott for a free offer. Get some free licenses, give it a spin, get your deployment on, and get your time back, just to be honest. So, you still there, Paul?
I am.
I figured maybe you were getting your kitchen tiled again. And
it's only a matter of time. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I forgot to grab these things. I was going to do this before. So, Paul, it's always good when you put up a review and somebody is personally offended and they let you know that.
Yeah.
That means,
it seems confusing to some people that others might have different opinions than they do.
Well, especially a review. A review is, at its core, an opinion. If it's not a review...
Could you just keep your opinion out of this review, please? Could you do that?
Then it's called a press release.
Yeah, that's right. It's just like a fact-based overview.
Yeah. So I've been using these guys now for, I got them on Saturday. And so I've gone to the gym 4 times since then. And I've used them all 4 times. I've used them a couple times around the house. And these are average. They're not bad. And let me explain why. The sound quality for $159 is not good. That's no surprise. I mean, if you use the AirPods, if you look at the driver sound, they're not huge. Now, The one thing these things are is they are extremely convenient. When you open the lid, they just connect, and when they put in your ears, they just work. And I will tell you that Apple has absolutely mastered the idea of simplicity with Bluetooth headphones. There is no question about it that they are probably the most convenient headphone in that regard. But they're not perfect, man. But first off,
and that's the key part of the sentence.
Yeah. So these things are they're made of the exact same material. If you've seen EarPods, they are the same thing, right?
Yep.
But they're made out of this hard plastic. And so when they go in your ear, they don't isolate any noise. And when you're at the gym, you kind of want that isolation because all you hear is just like the weights being dropped, people running on treadmills. And so you hear the entire world around you, which isn't ideal. And it's like, okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is too, adjusting the volume is a bit of a pain in the butt. So there's no way to do it with just this. You have to activate Siri and have Siri adjust it by a volume, which again, not the end of the world, but whatever. The missed opportunity though is what you should be able to do is just slide your finger along this little stem to adjust the volume. That's a very Apple thing to do, and they don't work. The battery life is fine. The sound quality is just average. They do work, and you feel like an absolute tool when you are wearing them. I don't know how I'm going to get over that. I mean, like you put these things in and there's no way, like, you know, if you put on like a nice watch or even an Apple Watch, you're like, yeah, this feels nice. I'm fine. Like you put this in and you're like, God, I hope I don't see like my ex-girlfriend or something.
I used to go to this gym in Dedham, and the guy who ran the gym walked in one day wearing a trench coat, and he had a one of those Bluetooth headsets in. Mm-hmm. And I was like, are they filming a new Matrix trilogy? What is this outfit?
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, I feel like people who wear those things have signed something that says I'm open to being mocked. Like, here is the cabbage that you may throw at me.
Yeah.
You know?
And so it's very much like your Pixel review. It's like they're fine. Now, would you openly tell someone to go spend $150 on these? I can't really tell people that these things are going to change their life in any meaningful way for the better. They are at most or at best a very nice convenience. Apple, as much as they got mocked for that W1 chip, they do work well. You pull them out and it senses they're pulling out. They turn off. Again, they are just really convenient, but they're definitely not the best sounding.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised by the sound quality thing. You know, I feel like Apple is the company that might have been able to pull that off, you know, given the small size.
And it's not terrible, but here's the thing. If you've ever used an in-ear monitor or any of them that have a rubber tip that kind of like slot into your ear and then stay in there, those will sound dramatically better because these don't do that. Because there's no, I actually have them coming, somebody recommended that I get these silicone little wraps that go around it that essentially do that. And so they should be arriving here today. It's because it doesn't create that seal that you get a lot of the outside noise, and then you don't get that extra bass.
Yeah, it's like passive noise cancellation.
Right. And the downside of that, like I was like, man, the thing that kept putting me off to these is like, okay, I would love to be able to use these when we go to Hawaii. But I would never hear anything over the roar of the engine, ever.
Oh, that'd be the worst.
I would get there, and Paul, you'd say something to me, and I would be completely like tone deaf to everything because I'd have to have the volume so loud on these things to overcome that sort of noise.
Yeah, that's no good.
And so the convenient thing is I'm flying on an Airbus 330 or whatever, you know, the ones that have that engine whine, that the whole time.
That's what I sound like when I sleep, so I'm familiar with the sound.
So there's people who have these that absolutely love them, and I totally get why. Again, because you open the case, they connect it to your phone, and you just put them in. If you have an Apple Watch, you hit play, and the convenience is absolutely there, but the sound quality is not, and the gesture support needs to be improved a little bit. So that's that. Yeah. You all right over there,
On a coincidental note, my wife came into my office the other day, and she said, my mother was thinking about buying a Pixel 2. Do you recommend that? And I was just staring at her for a second, like I thought she was messing with me. And I was like, are you serious? And she's like, yeah, they're on Verizon, I guess. And I'm like, no. No. Don't they? How do they not know this? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe you can give your mother some tech support with that stuff. That'd be nice of you, Paul.
Jeez. Yeah. No, just get the Samsung and leave me alone.
Speaking of Samsung, actually, I have nothing to do with Samsung. This little guy back here, which is Apple's smart speaker, it's Invoke, it's Echo, it's Mini.
What's it called again? Is it like iVaporware or something? I can't remember. What's the name?
Not quite. This is the HomePod. Apple came out today and said, remember how we said that thing was coming out in December? They're like, it's coming out in early 2018 instead.
So it's coming out on like December 46th or something.
They said early 2018 is when this thing is coming out. They didn't give a reason why, and so we don't really know why.
It could be.
Well, there's that.
It's because it doesn't work.
The interesting thing I think a lot of people are kind of missing in some of this is that not too long ago, Apple came out and said, hey, developers, if you want to build apps for this, you can only actually do like messaging and calling. You can't do anything else. And I wonder if that has to do with they were trying to kind of like put a line in the sand and say, okay, if we cut developers off from these features, we'll be able to ship it sooner. But that clearly didn't work out so well.
I can't feel bad for this company. That's all I'm going to say to that.
That's all you're going to say?
No, I mean, look, there's a lot to like about Apple. I just wrote about this. They make a lot of really good decisions when it comes to product design. But I found that introduction to be really odd. And it is one of those implicit acknowledgments that they're late, that this product is a Me Too kind of a thing, and how do we approach it in a unique Apple-y way, and we're going to focus on music or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't really matter when this thing ships. I mean, just everything you just said about how the limited programmability of it from the developer perspective, it's kind of limited set of capabilities from just a user perspective. Who cares if it comes out in December or next February or whatever? Like, this thing is actually a year away from being fully baked anyway. Yep. And it's just, they're just scrambling to catch up. And, they'll do fine because they're Apple and they've got really loyal customers and they're going to forgive them this and stuff. But this is the kind of thing we have been relentlessly negative about Microsoft and Cortana and that Invoke speaker and how late to market they are. And Apple's just going to get a pass. So it doesn't matter. Whatever. This thing is ridiculous and it just doesn't matter.
You are right. And that's really all I'm going to say. So, Paul, I'm going to say something here controversial. And I'm going to tell you that it is absolutely a fact. And if you disagree, you are wrong.
Alrighty.
That the BAR is the best gun in Call of Duty.
So, Brad, let me ask you a question.
You're wrong.
No, hold on. Are you sitting down?
I am.
Because that is the smartest thing you have ever said in your entire life. And let me give you an example of why that is true. I just prestiged in Call of Duty. And you get a prestige token, I think it's called. And you can spend that token on any one thing in the game. It can be a gun. I think it could be probably a kill star, like a score streak, they call it now. Some kind of a perk. I don't know, whatever the names are of these things. And what do you think I spent it on? Can you guess?
It probably wasn't bread.
I spent it on the bar.
Yeah.
Because as you level up, you don't get the bar until I think it's level 51 or 52, somewhere in there.
52.
There are 55 levels. So kind of gives you an idea of the amount of time you'll have to spend. It arrives at like the 96% done phase of that stretch of time. Yep. So I'm not going to go through that again. I'm not going to have a non-bar multiplayer experience. Now I will always have the bar. Yeah, you're right. It is the best gun.
Yeah. Yep. On that bombshell, folks, we're going to keep moving along here. Looking back at some of the comments of the week, Paul and I agreeing on something is pretty unusual, especially when it comes to Call of Duty.
It's so unusual you like scrambled right by it.
Yeah.
It's like you almost don't know how to cope with it.
That's exactly right.
I'm sorry our relationship has gotten to that point.
So the first comment comes from Beckoning Eagle, and he's talking about the new Surface Book. And actually, he brings up something, I don't know why I never really thought about this too much. He says the lack of Thunderbolt 3 is obviously disappointing, but he says he likes the space between the keyboard and the screen when it's closed. So he's talking about that gap. He says, I've noticed with Macs and others that you need to clean the screen frequently because the keyboard leaves a small film or dust on the screen when closed. So that is one benefit.
It shouldn't do that, but okay.
I remember my old Mac used to do that, my MacBook Pro, that you would open it up and you could see like a keyboard on the screen from where it was clearly touching.
So, yeah, I mean, that has been an issue with all kind of laptops time to time. Apple actually designs your laptop so that doesn't happen. I don't know when that started, but I went into an Apple store. This was actually several years ago because this would have been for my MacBook Air, which is not particularly new. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I need like a thing to cover the keyboard. And he thought I meant like a, you can put those stickers over the, the wrist rest or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, it's like a material that goes over the keyboard. So when you kind of close it, it doesn't get on the screen. He's like, he had no idea what I was talking about. And I said, you know how your fingerprints, from the keyboards get onto the screen? He goes, oh no, that doesn't happen. We designed it so the keys don't ever touch the screen. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Because the old ones used to do that all the time. A lot of PC laptops have little rubber feet or something to prevent that. But
talking about one of these guys?
Yeah. Which, by the way, Microsoft supplies with what computer, Brad?
Well, I think it just ships in the box for all of them.
No way.
But yes, this came with the when you open the Surface Book 2 for the first time, this is in there, and it's just a little pad that I'm guessing they keep in the box. But it's a nice little thing to use if that's what you're looking for. So
I saying that you like the gap because it doesn't do this thing is okay. It's fine. It wasn't designed like that for that reason. Just to be clear. Okay. Here's what I'll say about the gap. I've always thought it was weird looking. I was always worried that something would fall in there and scratch the screen or do some kind of damage. That's never happened. It's never been a problem.
Yep. That's the same with me. And so I've never opened it up and like, oh God, there's a Snickers bar in between my keyboard and my...
Right, exactly. Like you screwed it into the hole.
Although to be honest, I probably wouldn't be happy. Be like, hey, free Snickers.
Yep.
Next comment comes from, I think his name is Mattson. He actually wrote this in the forum, and I actually think this is pretty interesting, Paul. I'd be very curious on your opinion because you've written a lot about this. And he's worried about the PWA, the progressive web app adoption in Windows, specifically because the vast majority of machines today are still running Windows 7, which under Microsoft's current progressive web app strategy would not be supported.
Well, they wouldn't be supported in the sense that you couldn't get them from a store and install them as UWP apps, right?
Right, and Internet Explorer would not.
Edge doesn't work on Windows 7s, okay. But you could get them through Chrome, right? I mean, you got to remember, this is like a slice and time thing. So Windows 7 is still very popular. It's still in use. It's still supported for, how long is it supported for? When is?
Till 2020. Wait, we're going to be 2 years in January, so left.
Okay, well, that's just a tiny slice of time. I mean, the way I access web apps today is with Chrome, right? So I use Google Inbox, I use Google Calendar, and I use Twitter Lite through Chrome, pinned to the taskbar as standalone kind of pseudo apps, right? They're running on Chrome. You can do that in Windows 7. It works fine. You could do it with those exact apps. The progressive web apps that will be available in the store will not be uniquely available in the store. They'll still run in Chrome. They'll work fine. They may not have all of the functionality, right? I mean, well, actually, they should. I mean, let me just think through this. I mean, there's kind of goofy platform-specific stuff you can do, and I suppose that might be problematic. Like if somebody wanted to support Windows 10 notifications, for lack of a better example, obviously that would not be available through Chrome, but that doesn't mean it couldn't do notifications. It would just do Chrome-style notifications, right? I don't know. I don't think this is a huge concern.
You know, I was just more curious from, I mean, obviously Microsoft, the idea being that Microsoft on their largest platform isn't going to support web apps with their own native clients.
No, but this has always
obviously-
been the thing. Microsoft with its own native platform, or its biggest platform, doesn't support Microsoft Edge.
Yeah.
There is not a native Groove client on Windows 7. There's you know, not that matters anymore, but yeah, I mean, unfortunately, these are the realities. So the good news for PWA is that Chrome exists.
Yep. So there you go. Besides Call of Duty, Paul, what else you got going on this weekend?
I'm actually going to work on the book a lot this weekend. It's been a couple weeks. You know, life gets busy and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the big thing. I've got a bunch of review stuff, you know, blah, 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 whatever. Lots of work, I guess. I don't know. I'm a boring person. What about you?
I think we're going to a friend's house tomorrow evening for some activities of some sort. I'm not really sure. I don't know.
Was last week a Bengals bye week? Because I didn't notice any particularly embarrassing stories over at ESPN.com.
Well, let me put it this way: they weren't in a boxing match last weekend, but yeah, it was not a bye week and they lost.
So, you just reminded me of like I said, I went to FedEx to ship my son's keys back to him, and as I walk in, the guy who works at FedEx is talking to the guy in front of me about some quarterback who played for the Bills but is from this area, and how he doesn't have anything locally named after him for some reason, despite the fact that he was the quarterback who orchestrated the single greatest comeback in NFL history. And I kind of made a face because I was like, really? And I wasn't going to say anything to him, but I was like, geez, you know. And the guy said to me, he goes, I saw you made a face there. He's like, who are you thinking of? I'm like, well, I was thinking about the Super Bowl this year. And he goes, yeah, you're right. You know.
Yeah. This is where you found out that Brady's actually from the town you're living in, Paul.
Well, that's what, yeah, he was talking. I don't remember the guy's name, but he was a quarterback for the Bills who grew up in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, which is up the road a bit, if you will.
Gotcha.
So he clarified it to non-playoff.
Oh.
And I said, I apologize that I reacted so visually because I think I kind of blanched. Because he was like, you know, whatever, you know, I was like, really? And I kind of made a face like, really? You know, like, just to myself, because I entertain myself out in the world, you know.
And now you know why it cost you $300 to overnight those keys.
Exactly. He's like, let's just move that decimal point over a bit.
Oh, gosh. Well, that's it for today, folks. Today's show is brought to you by Smartdeploy, hardware independent imaging software for businesses with 50 to 50,000 users. Go check them out. Smartdeploy.com/Thurrott. They got good stuff going on over there. We've looked at it. You've looked at it. Give it a download. It's good stuff. We'll catch you right back here next week on First Ring Daily.